Hey everybody, Dirili here. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Hakuouki Demon of the Fleeting Blossom along Sanosuke Harada's route. And we were just celebrating our success at guarding a board. And apparently my boyfriend is footing the bill here because he got a reward for that. Yeah, I like to call him my boyfriend, but he doesn't know that yet. So let's finish off this party here. You can just sit back, relax, and let me read you a story.
Well, like they say, crap happens, but tonight Sano's paying, so let's drink till the sun comes up. Seconded. Time to find out just how much of this stuff I can handle.
I still wonder just if the reward money's enough to pay for this. In just a few minutes, Heisuke and Nagakura had the party in full swing, but I couldn't get my mind off what Harada had said. I'd never left the compound on my own since the time I'd first met the Shinsengumi. Then, what had he seen? I felt, why am I not remembering my body double? And is Soji not here? I felt strange. Somebody else was there besides, no, Heisuke. Heisuke and Soji were both there. Both of them should remember that. Why are we so inconveniently amnesiac in games and movies and shows? All forms of entertainment. What would you call something like this after all? A ghost? No, a doppelganger. No, I was alive. Was it some sort of astral projection then? Whatever it was, there was something out there who looked just like me, and they were causing trouble. It was depressing. I'd say scary.
Look, I'm sorry about that. I shouldn't have said anything. It's not like I think you did it or anything. I mean, why would you? It wouldn't make any sense.
No, it's not like that. I'm fine. Please don't worry about me. I know for sure that I was at the temple that night. No matter how much this other person looked like me, I know she wasn't me. Besides, I don't think I could even get to Sanjo Ohashi without one of you guys. Harada grinned and gave me a short laugh. Oh, look, the petals! Blooming again! Ah, love.
You're telling me you still haven't figured that out? And you've been coming on patrol with us for how long?
Well, a long time, yes, but all of the streets look the same, and there aren't any landmarks to help me out. You don't think that it's hard to find your way around Kyoto?
Yeah, I guess it would be kind of silly to think you'd actually got it figured out yet.
But it's been over a year! Hey, what's that supposed to mean? I was about to continue that line of questioning when a thought struck me. Oh, Heisuke!
Yeah? What's up?
Do you think maybe that girl Harada's talking about is the one we met? Thank goodness you finally thought of it! You remember? Her name was Kaoru. We met her when we were out on patrol with Okita.
Oh, yeah!
He smacked his leg heartily, making a great show of remembering the encounter, but a smile quickly warped into a frown.
Soji thought the two of you looked like twins or something, but I didn't really buy it.
Well, yes, but he was right. In fact, Okita had teased him mercilessly about it. Perhaps it didn't mean what I suspected it did. I was deep in thought when Harada spoke up.
What are you talking about? She's someone you know? Not really, no. We met this girl on patrol. Soji thought she looked just like Chizuru. I didn't though. I mean, Chizuru was just like a guy. This girl was, well, dressed like a girl.
Oh, you have no imagination, Heisuke. That was true too. I'd been disguised as a man, but Kaoru had been wearing a woman's kimono. But did Heisuke only think that we didn't look alike because how we'd been dressed? Harada seemed to take my silence as a prompt for his input. He sighed.
I don't know about this girl, but I do know that Heisuke doesn't exactly have a good eye for ladies. What? What do you mean by that?
Exactly what he said. Harada shot back a clever retort, and they were off, bickering playfully back and forth. I watched them yell and gesticulate, but my mind was elsewhere. Perhaps my face and Kaoru's did look similar, or even the same, but if it had been her, then what had been her purpose in impeding Harada? Anyone who lived in Kyoto would have known who the Shinsengumi were and what that board represented. I felt Harada's hand on my shoulder. Took a break from your argument, have you?
Well, they say that there are 3 people in the world who look like you.
Oh, I haven't heard that one, I only heard one.
So, I'd say it's a little early to nail her down as the culprit, right?
I didn't know if there were really 3 people out there with my face, but he had a point. To all appearances, she was just a normal girl. I couldn't imagine someone like her deciding to mess with the Shinsengumi and then disappearing into the night.
Tell me more about this girl.
Saito had a drink in his hand, but looked as calm and serious as ever. Oh, well... While we were out on patrol a while ago, we met a girl named Kaoru. She looked a lot like me, and Saito listened quietly, but looked up into my eyes when I finished, his face tense.
This can't be a coincidence. We should find and question this girl.
But she didn't look like someone who would want to harm the Shinsengumi, or even could. Looks can be deceiving. Saito shook his head once.
Appearances mean nothing.
Yep.
Are you sure that was the first time you met her?
Yes. Okita thought she looked just like me, although Heisuke didn't agree.
And you're sure you have no relatives in Kyoto? It's hard to believe such a similar face is just a coincidence.
You mean, could she be related to me? If I had relatives here, I think my father would have told me to contact them, not Dr. Matsumoto.
I see.
He didn't look entirely convinced, but apparently I'd said enough because he asked me no more questions.
Well, now that we've had enough to drink, I think it's time for the main event.
What? What's the main event?
Yeah, go for it, Sano. I've been waiting for this all night.
Oh no!
Right on. Alright guys, pay attention.
He's really drunk, isn't he? That's the scar from him, trying to commit suicide before.
This stomach is not a common run-of-the-mill stomach. Oh no, for this stomach knows the taste of a blade.
Harada, quite drunk by now, pulled open his shirt with a lopsided grin of pride and pointed at the ugly scar that crossed his belly. The Oiran feigned polite interest. Nagakuro gave a hoot of laughter.
Hey, that's nothing to brag about. Some punk said you were just a thug who didn't have the balls to cut himself open, and you just had to prove him wrong, didn't you? Of course I did. I'm a man, I gotta defend my honor. That wasn't real smart, Sano. What were you gonna do if you actually killed yourself? Well, I figured I'd cross that bridge when I came to it. I mean, a samurai is always looking for a way to die. Or not. Well then, to honor your, honor.
How'd he do it that quickly? And why didn't you stop him? From out of nowhere, Nagakura produced a brush and its accompanying ink and began to draw on Harada's stomach.
Hey, what do you think you're doing? It's such an amazing scar. You're really lucky there, Sano. You treat it good. Maybe someday it'll give you a bunch of little baby scars.
Oh, Nagakura.
It's a scar, you idiot, not a girl. Oh man, I can't take it. Every time you talk, it moves. It's like a mouth.
Apparently that was hilarious to Heisuke, who proceeded to double up on himself in laughter, hands wrapped around his stomach and face red with mirth. Oh, Harada! The 3 of them cavorted and tumbled around the room like children. In spite of myself, I began to laugh. I can't believe you just sat still and let him complete that, though. The party lasted until morning, or so I heard. I'd left before it ended, for reasons of my own, but I heard plenty about it later. There was a lot more for me to worry about, not the least of which was my possibly evil doppelganger. Yeah, like I said, doppelganger. But I found it impossible to feel sorry for myself amidst all that good cheer. It was near year's end. I was outside in the cold weather, sweeping the compound. Phew, well that should do it. I wanted to help out as much as I could, but since they still refused to let me out without an escort, there wasn't a great deal I could do. Still, I had helped make our home clean, and that felt good. Hopefully they'd like it too.
Cleaning, I see. You're certainly hard at work.
Oh, hello, Kondo. It's really gotten cold lately, hasn't it?
Yes, it has indeed. I've been in Kyoto for a while now, but I still haven't gotten used to the weather.
He rubbed his hands together and blew on them, in a mostly vain attempt to warm them up. I picked up a bunch of dead leaves, so I was thinking about roasting potatoes later. Would you like some? They'll warm you up. Kondo gave a little wry smile.
Roasted potatoes, huh? Oh, I used to enjoy that a long time ago.
Oh! I flushed with embarrassment. Kondo was a busy man. Management of the Shinsengumi was not easy. A man like that didn't have time for roasting potatoes. You've really been busy lately. I hope you're taking care of yourself.
Oh, right. Well, if I'm busy, then that means the Shinsengumi is needed. It's an honor.
True. In the last several weeks, Kondo and Hijikata had left the temple often to go meet with the important Shogunate officials. They probably scarcely had time to breathe, let alone relax. At that moment, almost as if my thoughts had summoned him, Hijikata appeared.
There you are, Kondo. Oh, Toshi. Where were you? I was looking for you. They've chosen the next shogun. It's going to be Lord Yoshinobu Hitotsubashi.
Hijikata's brow furrowed to what I wouldn't have hesitated to describe as a glower.
Him, huh? Well, let's hope he lives up to the rumors. Must you find a dark side to everything?
Who's Lord Hitotsubashi? I had a vague memory that he was the commander of the Shogunate forces during the Battle of the Hamaguri Gate, but Kondo gave me a quick explanation of the rest.
They say he is very intelligent. Some even go as far as to call him the second coming of Lord Ieyasu.
He glanced over at Hijikata, perhaps looking for corroboration. He found none.
At any rate, he has a quick mind, and the Emperor trusts him. How could he be a poor choice?
There was a certain pride in Kondo's voice, almost as if he were talking about a friend or brother. If what he said was true, though, then perhaps the shogun would be able to unite the shogunate and the imperial court, and overcome the crisis that was destroying our nation.
All right, he's smart, I'll give him that. Then what's the problem? Forget it. It doesn't matter who the shogun is to us anyway. We're just here to fight for him. That's right. If we do our best, that means the shogun and the shogunate are safe and secure.
He kept his tone carefully light, perhaps in an attempt to sway Hijikata, but to no avail. Only 20 days after Lord Yoshinobu had been officially inaugurated as the new shogun, the emperor passed away. It was especially hard on the emperor's younger sister, Kazunomiya, who had been married to Lord Iemochi and was intended to be a symbol of the imperial unification, but everyone on both sides was shocked by his death. He was succeeded by the imperial prince, a young boy only 15 years. In the turmoil, the activities of the Choshu domain went uninvestigated. The entire country of Japan found itself thrust into rapid motion. That's not good. Chapter 3. Wow, that was all Chapter 2? That was a lot of stuff. April 1867. The seasons changed, and spring came. Kyoto was filled with cherry blossoms, and the whole city took on a festive atmosphere. Surrounded by the gentle cheer of spring, my footsteps felt somewhat lighter. Okito watched me prance about with a crooked smile.
Yeah, don't need to hurry. We aren't going anywhere in particular. Just think of it as a nice relaxing walk.
Okay, I'll be careful. It seemed to me that it was dangerous for a captain of the Shinsengumi to think that when he was out on patrol, but I didn't dare say anything to Okita. Then again, things had been pretty quiet lately. Perhaps he was right. No, I told myself I had to focus. Now was not the time or the place for high spirits. Nearby, I saw a few ronin who slunk off into the side streets at the first glimpse of the Shinsengumi. How suspicious. Why run away unless they knew they were guilty of something? I stared after them intently and must have looked as if I was about to give chase because Okita gave a bark of laughter.
Don't waste your energy on them. They're small potatoes.
Really?
If they were Choshu guys, then they wouldn't run off like that. They'd be more confident. The guys who take off like that when we show up are almost always just small-time punks.
I see. I didn't. Then why did I lie?
They're probably guilty of something. Maybe some minor crime, but the blues scare off a lot of people these days.
The uniform's gotten pretty famous around Kyoto, hasn't it?
Well, could be infamous depending on who you ask.
It was true, the Shinsengumi blues brought recognition, but that was a double-edged sword. Sometimes they commanded obedience or respect, but sometimes the response was less pleasant. Their uniform had become a symbol, but there was some argument among the Shinsengumi as to whether or not they should adopt a new uniform. Some people, such as Ito, just felt the uniform should be changed because it wasn't fashionable. Oh, God. Is Ito back from the Imperial territories yet?
Yeah, I think so. Can't say I'd have minded if he just stayed out there, though.
I think we all would have been much more happy if he had. He went to go recruit some of his friends and acquaintances, right?
Well, that's what he says, but I gotta wonder how far he really went, you know?
How far? What do you mean? If he went out past the Imperial territories, then he must really care about the Shinsengumi, right? After all, to go that far would be quite a trip to make just to get more recruits. Okita, however, didn't seem to think so.
Well, that's what you think.
Am I wrong?
No, not really.
Okita stopped and gazed off into space for a moment. When he spoke, it was to himself.
Kondo's too nice. He should just kill Ito.
Okita! He had a tendency to talk of killing too easily and too lightly, but... How could you joke about killing one of your companions? I don't think he considers Ito a companion. He let his eyes slide to mine and gave me a small sigh.
A companion, huh?
The scorn in his voice wasn't for me, it was for Ito. Ever since he had first arrived, Okita and the rest of the captains had never seemed to like Ito much, but I was surprised that he would say something like that where anyone could have heard. I glanced around to make sure no one had been paying attention. No luck. What? There, in the crowd, a face I'd seen before. Oh, I guess she hadn't heard. Kaoru? The face that looked back could easily have been mine. There was no way I could have ever mistaken that face. But no sooner had I spotted her than she disappeared, melting into the crowd. Kaoru!
Hey!
He made a grab for my arm, but I'd already moved out of his reach. I might get in trouble for it, but if I didn't go quickly, I'd lose her. Sorry, Okita, there's something I have to do. I caught a glimpse of his confused face as I ducked into the crowd. Shouldn't he follow me? I guess I haven't romanced him enough.
How many times do I have to tell her not to run off without permission? Why can't you look at this from my point of view?
It's not like I run off all the time without you. I ran through the crowd as fast as I could, bobbing and weaving around citizens about their business, until at last I caught up with her. She was Kaoru, no mistake. Kaoru, do you remember me? Yes, you were with the Shinsengumi. I remember you. She looked surprised. You ran after me so suddenly. It scared me. I'm sorry about that, but there's something I wanted to ask you. I realized belatedly that I didn't know what I planned to do with her answer once I had it, but I knew I had to ask. One of the Shinsengumi said they saw a girl who looked like me at Sanjo Ohashi Bridge a while ago. Could that have been you?
I don't know. I do go by Sanjo Ohashi fairly often. Is that a problem?
She laughed pointedly. Oh.
Did you want to ask if I'd ever been there at night?
Could it be? Could Kaoru really have been the girl who interrupted the Shinsengumi that night? If it was an autumn night and you got in the Shinsengumi's way...
Then you and I are going to need to have a little talk. I don't want to give away all the details, but it ends with your death.
Oh, Okita! I hadn't realized he caught up with me so quickly.
Oh, you're Okita from the Shinsengumi. Thank you for helping me the other day.
She bowed, but Okita didn't even seem to notice.
So, you're going to answer the question. Were you there that night?
Okita wore the same half-smile he always did, but his body was as tight as a bowstring, ready to have his blade in hand at a moment's notice.
My death? Please don't say such scary things like that. Lots of people pass by Sanjo Ohashi during the day. At night, though, I don't go near it because of the notice board stuff.
It was almost as if she'd read my mind.
I can't believe you'd suspect me just because my face happens to look like someone else's. I don't know anything.
Oh, of course. I understand. She looked so sad. I felt I had to say something. I knew it wasn't you. After all, How could a normal girl do anything to the men of the Shinsengumi? Okita seemed less convinced. His eyes shifted to me.
And why do you say that? Because she's a girl? Or because she looks like you?
No, that's not it. I couldn't bring myself to admit that he was exactly right. I'd assumed Kaoru couldn't possibly have done it simply because she was a girl. I'm sexist! Now can I go? Excuse me. Kaoru. Too late. She turned and ducked away, disappearing back into the crowd. Had I done the right thing, I wondered, in covering for her? I was pondering whether or not I should give chase again when I heard Okita begin to cough. I wonder if Okita would have chased her if he hadn't been coughing. Okita, are you okay? He was bent nearly double and coughing uncontrollably, his entire body shaking with each cough. Okita!
Stay back!
As I stepped toward him, he threw out a hand and twisted his face upward to glare at me. What?
I'm fine, so just stay there, okay?
It was the sheer force of his personality that stopped me, not just his words. After a while, his coughing slowed, then subsided entirely. Okita, is something wrong?
Like what?
When he turned to look at me this time, his sardonic half smile was back. He looked every part the usual Okita, except that he'd grown frighteningly pale. I mean, why don't we find somewhere to rest? You look like you were in a lot of pain.
Oh, I was just tired. I mean, you did make me run a long way here.
But...
No buts. I'm fine. No.
His expression was suddenly hard.
About the girl. Asking her about the thing with the notice board was important. I agree with you.
Good then. We needed to know if she was an enemy of the Shinsengumi or not. I needed to know.
But even... No, because of how important that is. You shouldn't have run off on your own like that. What if she had been an enemy of ours? Could you have handled her?
Well...
Did you even consider that possibility? That she'd planned to lure you here? It's a great spot for an ambush, you know.
You're right. She hadn't tried to attack me, but Okita was right. Next time I might not be so lucky. I could have easily run into a trap.
You need to be more careful, alright? I can take care of you, but without me around, you're just a useless kid.
Sorry. The Shinsengumi had done so much for me, I just wanted to give something back. Instead, I'd only caused more trouble for them.
Alright, lecture's over.
Okita looked tired, and more than a little frustrated. I tried to apologize again, but he cut me off. I feel like I'm having more romance with Okita in this than Harada, even though I'm making Harada choices.
Stop being so timid. You can rely on us when you need to. I've gotten pretty used to saving your ass at this point. A couple more times isn't going to mean much.
He let out a snort of laughter. That night, after everyone had gone to bed, I lay awake thinking about what had happened. I couldn't forget what Okita had said. A useless kid. He was right. Compared to the captains, no, even compared to the weakest Shinsengumi foot soldier, I was pathetic. Then why don't I train? There was nothing I could do for them. It wasn't as if I tried to imagine myself as some sort of warrior, but to have my lack of worth so bluntly stated was something of a blow. I lay there, staring at the ceiling. I couldn't go on like this. Tomorrow I start working harder. I don't want to run off on some pointless adventure that did nothing more than cause trouble. That meant I needed to develop better judgment. And if I'm going to do that, I need to sleep. But no sooner had I closed my eyes... What? There was a crash from the hallway outside my room. I rolled up and out of my bed, just as the door exploded into my room. Standing in the hole was one of the Shinsengumi soldiers. Is something wrong? Yeah, obviously, you know that look. It was dark inside and out, and I couldn't see his face. He just stood there. I felt a chill run up my spine. Did you need something? I guess we can't see that his hair is white and his eyes are red.
Blood. I need blood.
He was one of the Furies.
Give me blood.
I could see now that his face was twisted in madness, and his eyes shone like twin fires in the night. His hair glistened white in the moonlight. He was a member of the Fury Corps, and he was utterly and completely mad. I had to call for help. I couldn't possibly face a deranged superhuman monster on my own. No, I couldn't call for help. If I did, the whole secret of the Furies would get out. That would be bad for the Shinsengumi. I had to find another way. The Fury, unfortunately, was not similarly encumbered by doubts.
Grah!
His sword hissed through the air, and I felt the metal of its blade burn into the flesh on my arm. Blood sprang from the cut. I pressed down on it deliberately with my free hand, but to no avail. The thick red liquid spilled between my fingers, fled down my arm and onto the floor.
Yes, blood. Give me blood.
He began to creep toward me, his movements odd and jerky, like a massive spider. I backed away from him until I felt my back hit the wall. I was going to die. Suddenly, I remembered Okita's words from earlier that day.
Quit being so timid. You can rely on us when you need to.
That was it then. My death wasn't worth their secret. Someone, help!
Blood! Blood!
He was down on his hands and knees, licking my spilt blood off the floor. There was no samurai there. There wasn't even a person in him anymore. The blood on the floor had distracted him, but I knew that would only last precious seconds, if help didn't arrive soon. The seconds went by like hours. Why haven't I tried to move? Please, I beg to any god who might be listening, let someone come.
Not enough. Not enough.
He looked up from the floor. My sleeve was soaked in blood from the cut on my arm. His eyes locked onto it. I saw them light up with animal hunger. His grin was a nightmarish thing.
Yes, that. Give me more of your blood.
No! There was no doubt. He was going to kill me. I froze.
Hey, you alive?
Yes! Hijikata had appeared in the doorway, his sword already drawn and shining in the moonlight.
Grah!
The Fury spun to attack Hijikata, but the commander's sword was faster. His twisted cry reverberated from the walls in the room, but he still stood despite the wound Hijikata had given him, sword in hand.
Get over here, now!
Yes! As I ran to his side, I heard other footsteps pounding down the hallway, and in mere seconds, they resolved into the figures of the other captains.
Crap, this is bad. I don't think he can even understand us. Yeah, he's too far gone. We can't let him live.
At someone's spoken signal, a chorus of blades slid from their scabbards.
Shin, Sano, don't screw this up. Who the hell do you think we are, Heisuke? If a captain can't take out a simple soldier, even if he is a Fury, he'd have to resign, assuming he wasn't dead.
They fanned out quickly, surrounding the wounded soldier. There was no escape. The captains all attacked at once, and the Fury died almost instantly. The excitement was over. Or so I'd thought. But it hadn't been only the captains who'd heard my cry for help. Uh-oh.
What's going on here? Damn it. What on earth happened to that man? Oh, this room has been stained with blood. How savage.
His voice and his face were filled with shock and horror.
Why have our captains cut down one of their own men? Explain this at once. What happened here?
The captains fell silent.
My apologies. My lack of discipline is at fault here.
Sanan? His appearance surprised me, and likely everyone else. It seemed like it would have been more prudent for him to remain hidden. Yeah, what the hell? Needless to say, the appearance of a man he thought dead did little to improve Ito's disposition.
Sanan, what are you doing here?
Ito's usual composure was almost entirely gone, and he gaped openly at Sanan. I couldn't really blame him. I probably would have done much the same thing if I saw a dead man walking and talking. I will explain later, but first we must clean up this mess. Sanan's face looked tight and drained. As the commander of the Fury Corps, he likely felt responsible for what happened, as the man who had gone mad was supposed to have been under his control.
It's not your fault, Sanan.
Well, it might be. How did he get out?
It's just a side effect of the treatment, right? Nothing you could do.
But how did he get here?
What? What are you saying? Treatment? What are they talking about, Sanan?
I'm afraid I cannot divulge that information. Sanan's gaze slid to Ito for a moment, but he said nothing further. After all, what could he possibly say? How could one admit that they had been creating inhuman monsters in secret out of one's own soldiers? Ito's composure regained at last. He leveled a glare at Sanan.
I was told that Sanan had passed away, and with no reason to doubt that information, I believed it was true. I see now that you have all conspired against me. I am the deputy commander of the Shinsengumi. To do all of this without informing me, I dearly hope you have a satisfactory explanation.
If all you're going to do is bitch, why don't you do all of us a favor and shut up?
What? How dare you speak to me in such a manner? Hijikata, you...
Calm down now, Ito. I'm sure Toshi didn't mean to snap. We're just all a little on edge right now. You have to understand.
Oh, I understand all right. I understand that you are savages, each and every one of you. I cannot abide the company of such uncivilized cretins any longer. And as for you, Sanan, when you are finished here, I expect to hear why you are not, in fact, deceased, and why this was hidden from me. Are you listening to me, Sanan?
Sanan? Suddenly, I realized he wasn't just being dismissive of Ito. There was something very wrong with him. The blood. His face was twisted in pain, and he didn't seem to respond at all, no matter how much I shouted his name. I should probably get away from him because I'm bleeding?
What's wrong, Sanan?
Sanan,
Chizuru, get back.
I think Hijikata realized the blood. What? His hair had begun to turn white. By the time I realized what was happening, it was too late. Sanan's hand shot out like an angry snake and closed around my wrist. Should have listened to Hijikata right away, girl. Ow! The strength in his grip was unbelievable. His fingers might have been made of stone for all I could move them. I could almost feel the bones in my arm begin to bend under the strain. And right there, we're going to have to stop, because who knows how long this could go on. Oh, I should have quit before he turned. If only I had known that was going to happen. And I have to quit for the night because it's like 3 a.m. and I have a dentist appointment tomorrow. Oh, God. Depending on how that dentist appointment goes, I might not be able to read well tomorrow. Well, anyway, I hope to see you on my future videos, and I'd be so grateful for any likes, comments, subscriptions, or shares with your friends to show some support. Thank you so much for joining me, and I wish you all health, happiness, and safety. Dirili signing out. Bye-bye, everybody.